Hi there, I'm James Osborne, the co-founder of the Recruitment Network, and this is the TRN podcast. Every week, we unpack the strategies, the technologies, the processes and mindsets fueling today's top-performing recruitment agencies. We take a look behind the scenes of some great recruitment businesses. We listen to the real-life stories of those who have built those businesses, and we learn from some of the industry's greatest thought leaders to help you become both future fit and future relevant. So let's begin with this next episode of the TRM podcast. So first, lovely to see you all. Hope you've all had a good week. I hope you've had a good start to the year. It's been a fantastic month, I think. We've seen some really, really great results coming across the TRM community, so I'm really pleased. The market's looking really, really good. There's definitely a lot of stuff going on at the same time around, making sure our businesses are fit for purpose, they're future relevant, they're structured properly in the right way, to make sure we're getting the maximum maximum profitability and performance out of our business models as anything else. So it's about 180 versus 360. There are different variations on this as well. I know some recruitment companies have a 237 to a whatever else is left type models. There's all sorts of ways that you can skin a cat in here, but we'll break it down in sort of this simplistic format to give you a bit of a nice some ideas to think about. And for those of you not familiar with TRN, just very quickly, we are the Recruitment Network. We're a large global community of recruitment business leaders and advisors and mentors, and we all hang out together, help each other maximize the three most important things: performance, productivity, and profitability. Okay, good stuff. So let's get cracking with what we're going to talk about today, which is this concept around 180 versus 360. Again, I'm just going to give you my take, not necessarily right or wrong. It's just my opinion based on the companies I advise and the businesses that we work with across TRN and what I generally see. When you're trying to build a model within a business that's future fit, future relevant, fit for purpose, you sort of need to think about basically what are the challenges that you're facing as a business, and is your business structure solving that or perpetuating those issues and those challenges. So if I look across some of the things that we talk about across the TRN community, some of the biggest challenges: legislation, candidate shortages, attracting and hiring new people into our businesses, converting more business that we've currently got, etc. These are the standard stuff that we sort of see, which is why we run all these training courses and programs around that to help the members with that. And I think a lot of these things, from how you stand out, how you win better business, how you convert the business you've got, how you attract people to your company, candidate shortages, I don't think these things are particularly helped by having a full 360 model. I'm not saying that's the cause of it, but in some cases I don't think it's particularly helped. I'll explain why, and hopefully you get a sense of what that sort of looks like. But ultimately, I think the ideal recruitment model is built around two things: alignment to your core business drivers. So what are you trying to build as a business, and how does that model fit in with what you're trying to do? And then creating a certain amount of flexibility and choice for people who are coming to work for you. So if we want to attract the best talent in our businesses, we need to have a certain level of choice, certain level of flexibility. It's exactly the same principle with the hybrid working model, if you've got that within your business, because people use that as they want a bit of choice and flexibility. That's the best way to get some of the best people within your business, potentially. So I'm a big fan of the blended model, which I think a big chunk of you on the call have already in play. Where if you've got great 360 recruiters within your business, brilliant, keep them and lock them away and put them in a corner and make sure they've got all the tools they need to do what they want to do. But to grow a business in using a 360 model, I think is quite tough in this type of market. There aren't many great 360 recruiters just floating around the place. The really good ones have gone off and set up on their own. So they're now solo recruiters. There's a lot more of those in the market. And there's a lot of people who think they're good 360 recruiters, who are commanding high basic salaries and everything else within that, who actually aren't. They haven't done the 180 side of the sales side, for example, for ages. So actually, if you want to grow and bring in the best people in your business, we've got to be realistic about what's out there in the marketplace. And I work with lots of rec to rec, so we get a good sense of the quality of the people who are sort of moving around a little bit. So a good model for me looks like a little bit like this, where you've got management structure, you've got your business development team, so dedicated BD people who are out there winning business for the whole company, winning capability projects, all the stuff that we're talking around that sort of 35% margin type stuff. So they're out there winning great business and handing that stuff over to a delivery function, who maybe have a resourcing function underneath that. You've also got a separate account penetration team, key account penetration team, whose job is to do two things: is to look after and grow house accounts, so they get rewarded on the growth of those house accounts, and also the growth accounts themselves. And then the management structure sitting above that. Your 360s can still work alongside all those. That's not a problem at all. But I think having that blended solution is actually a really nice model to have. because there's a bunch of challenges that you have with a 360 model potentially, and these are some of the things that we see. So, for example, 360 recruiters is the best excuse not to sell. This has been one of the biggest issues we had, let's be honest about it, where you've got a 360 recruiter who doesn't really want to sell, doesn't really like selling particularly, and they've got the best bloody excuse possible not to sell. They're too busy trying to do the other stuff, filling jobs or whatever else it might be. So actually, it means we're just missing out on the sales stuff, and we saw a lot of that bite people on the backside in 2024 going into 2025 as well. Um, you've also got the quality of the sales process as well. There's no doubt about it that sales is an art and a science. It's a full-time job. You've got to really understand the processes. You've got to build the processes in the machine and be really particular and meticulous about how you do it. It needs proper focus, proper attention, proper commitment, proper nurturing in the process as well. And if you haven't got enough time as a 360 recruiter to do all that, then I don't think you're ever doing a proper sales job. You're just doing lots of sales stuff and hoping it might work. It's very much activity based as much as anything else. So to me, a great salesperson will always have a proper strategic sales plan that they're working to, a proper account penetration strategy they're working to, and they're nurturing it, they're evolving it, they're using the social scaling stuff that we talked about on social media, etc., etc. They've got a proper structure around the whole thing, but it's a full-time job to be able to do it. I think also there's a wrong focus as well. As much as I love sales and I'm a big fan of it, it's a really important part of it as well. And everybody, I think, in a recruitment company has to sell. There's always a question mark about how much business is enough. And and for me, what we've got to focus on as much as anything else before we just figure out bringing lots of business is making sure that our conversion ratios and filling jobs is as good as it needs to be. We're still seeing lots of recruitment companies not converting at the level that they should be, and their conversion ratios aren't good enough. So again, we've got to make sure the focus is right. We've got good conversions, the engine of our business is converting well, and then we top it up with lots of new business coming through. But we can't have one offsetting the other one. They've both got to be as good as each other, which, while having dedicated people on that, it is super, super important. And then needles in haystacks. The reality, as I said, it's bloody hard to find great recruitment company, great 360 recruiters at the moment. There's lots of new recruitment companies setting up at the moment, mostly solos and small recruitment businesses, etc., etc. So to try and find a really, really good 360 recruiter is like a needle in the haystack at the moment, I think. And in many cases, when you do find a good one, they actually work out not to be as good as you thought. Because in your environment, they just can't do half the stuff that they need to be able to do. So they've managed to get away with it in their past business. So we've really got to think about our ability to find and attract people. So this is why there's flaws, I think, in the 360 model. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's a hell of a lot harder to grow a business out there, sort of stuff. Okay, cool. I won't go through every one of these slides. We'll share these with you afterwards. So let's look at the modeling. Different models, 360, 180 and a 180, or 120 and 120, 120. It all depends on what your business structure is. So just to sort of break this down in its crudest, simplistic form, your 360 model is somebody that can do all of these things here that you can see on the screen. So that's a hell of a lot when you think about it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you've got to be able to do there. And there aren't that many recruiters, let's be honest about it, who are really bloody good at all the branding and sourcing and securing stuff at the front end, winning business, closing deals, great business, but proper deals, not just picking up jobs, but proper stuff. And then doing all the generation of the shortlisting, then the headhunting, then the management of the process, etc., etc. So that's the 360 role. So there's a small percentage of our industry, I think, who can do that really, really well. They're brilliant, nothing wrong with that. And if you've got loads of them and you can keep attracting loads of them, then fair play, just crack on with that, because that's absolutely spot on. But the reality is, there's a lot of businesses now who have split up those roles into two roles. There's a client focus roles, which is all around winning the business and closing deals, and then the client management piece, and then a candidate focus role working alongside that, which is doing all the candidate generation and the placement piece. It doesn't mean you're doubling up in salaries and invoices and activity. It means you've got two people focus on their areas in their lanes, doing twice as much, if not more, stuff that they should be doing for. So you definitely make the same amount of money, if not more, by doing that 180 model. Or on the flip side, you could break it down even further and break it into a 120 model, where, as I said before, where you've got an out and out BD focus, which are people who are breaking down doors basically and winning new logos, and then going back out again and winning some more. You've got the sourcing focus team, who are the people out there who are just generating the candidates. And then you've got the delivery focus team, who are looking at the interview process, placing the candidates, and they're involved in the sort of low level account management, so making sure that the customers are happy and we get repeat business, etc. So whatever model you choose doesn't really matter. But if you broke it down into three sort of different funnels, you've got on your left hand side your BD funnel, You've got your middle funnel, which is your delivery funnel, and then you've got your account penetration funnel. All three need resource, they need focus, they need strategies, they need workflows, they need automations, etc. So it's hard to do that, all of that, I think, as a 360. Whereas if you've got people dedicated in these areas, you can really drill down and do 10 times more effectiveness and 10 times more volume off the back of it type stuff. So there's a principle behind it. So again, not knocking 360, I'm just saying it's hard, and actually sometimes splitting it up actually is better. You then need to think about your restructuring of your business for relevance, where we talked a lot about this the other day in the operating stuff as well. So just to add into the mix now, not only have we got people, we've also now got AI agents and offshoring that comes into the mix as well. So as much as we're trying to work out, should I have a 360 or a 180, we're also working out, should those 180s or those 120s be in the UK or wherever you are based, or should they be offshore? And in some cases, how much of that is AI as well? So there's a whole new dimension now that's come into this 180, 120, 360 modeling type piece as well. So when you're restructuring your business and thinking about your modeling, think about it from not only from a 180 360 point of view, but also think about where are those people? Are they offshore, onshore? Are they agentic AI as well? So your model might look a little bit more like this potentially, or split up with this little bit where you've got offshore team in green, you've got your AI agents in purple, you've got your 180s, your 120, your 360 sitting above that, etc. So there's a bit to factor in here now. Without doubt, a recruitment company of 2026 will have a whole load of that green and purple in it as part of their growth strategies. I'm absolutely convinced by that. We're seeing it already at the moment because it's just more profitable delivery function within your business. So then it goes back into when you talk to for example, a salesperson or a 360 or whatever, you go to a business and go, like, can you show me your BD plan? Have you got an account penetration plan? Do you measure the return on investment you get from every activity, every component of your marketing strategy? Are you doing proper solution selling within your business? Have you got a sales operations playbook? Are you producing data and insights that you could then use as part of your sales strategy? And let's be honest about it, most recruitment companies don't have most of this stuff because there's nobody really truly focused on it. That's the problem. So you need to have someone who owns this piece and is focused on it. That's why I love to have a chief commercial officer or a sales director within a recruitment company whose job is to build this and build a sales team and be out there. A sales team, no, a good salesperson to me is doing at least 20 meetings a week on the road. You can't do that if you're a 360 recruiter, let's be honest about it. But if you're just dedicated to doing that, you can literally change everything. The old school days where you see them living in their car, they've got sandwich wrappers still in their car from the day before because they've literally just been out seeing client after client after client type concept. That's what we're looking for. Someone who owns the strategy, he's building the plans and is implementing and delivering that strategy. That's why we've gone out and built these things, these philosophy frameworks and the playbooks, etc. Because most recruitment companies don't have this in place, and we've got to help them do that. Otherwise, we're never going to move forward without it. In similar vein, if you've got account managers, 120 or 180 account managers within your business, they can properly go after your existing accounts. They can properly build an Operation Goldmine strategy, which is the thing that we roll out around account penetration, which is always the low-hanging fruit. We saw this with so many of the members last year and the year before that we've been working with around their Operation Goldmine strategy. This is Laura from OA. They found £7 million worth of business sitting within their client base just using Operation Goldmine alone. But we need someone in that business to now own that and run it and drive Operation Goldmine to convert that £7 million business, £7 million worth of potential business into actual business, obviously. So who's going to do that within the business? Who owns it? Who's going to be accountable for it? Who's going to be responsible? Who's going to be commissioned on that? And so on and so forth. And then you can run a proper account penetration strategy using all the toolkits that we've built to enable you to be able to do that and deliver the right level of service to your customers to ensure that your account management workflows are delivering on what they should be doing and that type of stuff. And again, we've got some great examples of this, of how that sort of works out. And then the other question within your business is how many actual salespeople do you have? Whether they're 360 recruiters by name, but do they actually sell? Do they love it? Are they any good at it? Do they even know how to do it? And we're seeing more and more 360 recruiters who just aren't selling or aren't capable of selling or don't want to sell. And it's a really tough situation to be in as a business owner of what you're going to do with those people. So for me, segmenting that and then hiring and recruiting salespeople who are salespeople and nothing else, and 180 delivery people who are brilliant at delivery is the right model from that perspective. You've also got to think about it from a retention and development point of view as well. So we talk a lot about the sort of the things that motivate people, the things that demotivate people in a business, in a recruitment company. These things are the things that demotivate people. These things are the things that motivate people. So we call them the disengagers and the engagers. If you put them alongside each other, the stuff on the left-hand side, if you get that stuff wrong, you're just going to pardon my French, piss off people within your business and lose them. The people on the stuff on the right hand side is the stuff that's going to make people work harder when they get into work. They're completely different things. So you've got to be really good at all 12 of these things. That's your sort of tick box exercise to understand how you're going to get proper drive and motivation out of your people, and also make you an employer of choice, I should say, as well. So then you think about how does this impact the 360 model, the 180 or the 120 model? Well, let's have a look at that a little bit, because ultimately, most recruitment companies, if you look at a typical competency framework, and we've built lots and lots of these, so the career paths of a recruiter within a business, they're often very, very linear. You come in as a junior resourcer, you then become a senior resourcer, then you become a junior consultant, then a senior consultant, then you become a team leader and a manager. There's the journey, and that's it. We need to create career paths based on people's skills and their motivation. So if I'm a salesperson, and don't get in my way, let me carry on being a salesperson for the next 25 years. So my career path is different for someone who loves delivery, etc. Just having one linear path, I think, really restricts people's ability to grow, which means they're going to get to a point where they're going to go, well, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm going to go somewhere else, etc. And we see a lot of that type of stuff. So think about having a multifaceted competency framework which is aligned to 360 or 120. It also means we can train people properly as well. So if I've got a salesperson, I can train them properly on the proper art and science of selling, how to do it properly. All the courses that we run at TRM, which are free to the membership, is getting your recruiters to be really bloody amazing salespeople. But they've got to spend time and really learn what that means, what that looks like, and how to do it properly. In the same way, really good delivery people, if we want to get our conversion ratios up by another 20% in the next 90 days, then what are the skills that a great recruiter delivery person needs to have? If I'm teaching over 360 all of these things, they're never going to get any bloody work done. They're spent too much time in training. So we just got to think a little bit about our ability to train people properly on the stuff that's going to make a difference, and not skirt around that a little bit. And then also think about the KPIs and metrics that we're going to give recruiters as well, because if you've got too many metrics and KPIs, they're not really going to be that meaningful, let's be honest about it. So a salesperson, if you're a salesperson, there are a dozen KPIs all specifically about sales that get really, really deep and dirty. Things like stuff that we often don't talk about, but certain metrics around time to conversion, etc., as opposed to just doing conversion. These are the things that make the biggest difference when it comes to improving your strategy as a salesperson. So again, making sure our recruiters have the right KPIs and our salespeople have the right KPIs as well. And again, I've got some examples in here of some of the KPIs that you can track. I'm happy to share this across to you. If any of you want to just give me a yes or a thumbs up, we'll ping this across to you afterwards. And I'll give you some examples of some of the KPIs that are right for a 180 recruiter delivery, but also a salesperson as well. So, I mean, look at some of these. If you look at a typical recruiter, how many recruiters are measured against any of this stuff on a day-to-day basis? And in any business, if you look at any SaaS firm where they've got salespeople, they're all measured on this stuff all day long. This is the most important thing, because these are the things that make the biggest difference from a sales point of view. So again, that's the challenge you're facing. If we're dabbling at it, half doing these things, we can't really get deep into it, and that's the challenge, and that's the that will just always hold us back a little bit from a conversion point of view. Some other things to consider in this conversation when you're thinking about it. Again, there's no right or wrong. I'm not knocking 360s. I'm just trying to explain how hard it is sometimes and some of the issues it faces. Things like commission structures, reward, incentivizing 180 over 360s, etc. Scalability, and then how do you measure net contribution and that type of stuff. So one of the things is absolutely true. Over the years, I think we've been absolutely over rewarding 360 recruiters who honestly have just been doing a 180 job. There's so many, I see them every day, 360 recruiters who really aren't doing 360, but we're paying them like a bloody 360 recruiter. They're only doing half the job. It just doesn't seem to make any sense to me, if I'm brutally honest about it. So we need to think about our commission structures to making sure they are fit for purpose. Some things to think about. Business developers, if you have someone who's a 180 or 120 BD person or account managers, they should get paid a percentage of the deals for a particular period of time, either 100% for the first 12 months of a new client they bring in, or the first number of roles or deals that they bring in that convert, etc. So they're not being paid. What you don't want is a great salesperson being rewarded. Basically, they bring in an account and they get rewarded for the next 10 years on that account. You bring in an account, you're going to lose it after 90 days or after 12 months or 6 months, etc. So you have to go out and get more business and more business. That's what you're good at. That's what we're paying you to do. So I'm not going to incentivize you just to sit on accounts. Similarly, key account managers should get paid commission on the growth of an account, not just from managing and sitting on an account. So you set a very clear benchmark of what the account currently is, contribution wise. You work out what it should be. They get paid on that delta between what the current account is delivering and what it could be delivering and what they will be delivering moving forward. So think about that. The incentives and the commissions drive the behaviors of our people. So let's make sure we're doing it in the right sort of way. Obviously, if you're splitting up a deal amongst different people, then you can split the commission into allocated blocks based on who brought the business in, or who manages the account, and or who found the candidate or was managing the candidate. So you can do it in different sort of ways. Again, you're not double paying out, so that's important here. I've seen some commission structures where you've got a salesperson bringing in a job, then we're paying a recruiter at the same time, and actually you're double paying out in eventually on the actual commission structures. So be really careful of that. I've got some really good examples of commission structures. In fact, I'm probably going to run some commission roundtables quite soon, actually, because I think they've evolved quite significantly and changed quite a bit as well. So again, if any of you are interested in that, just give us a yes or something, and we'll make sure we get that sent across to you. If you were trying to understand what a good commission structure looks like in recruitment today, it's very, very different. And actually, I think you can make a lot more money out of your business by adjusting your commission structure. Because I think we're paying out too much, basically. We're not making the same amount of money and profit as we should be. So classic crude scenario, you got a perm deal, 60k salary, 24%, it's 14.5 grand, 3 people involved in the role, you split that allocation amongst the 3 people. There are different ways of doing it, obviously, and different percentages, but you get this sort of idea. So there's a couple of sort of things to think about. Whether it's a 360 or 180, 120, I'm not anti any of them. I think they're just harder. The further up you go, it's harder to find great 360 recruiters. It's a hell of a lot easier to find good 120, 180s and so on and so forth. Some things to think about. Just to quickly remind you, and we'll open up for a bit of a Q&A if you're interested. Just to remind some of the things that are coming, the accelerator, the velocity framework, playbook, and the pinnacle program is all coming out to you shortly. So you'll see all that stuff coming through. But again, I suppose the point of the 180, 360 conversation is very much how do we make sure people are in their track, playing to their superpowers, playing in their lanes, and so on and so forth. That's a really big, important part of this sort of process, I think. Good stuff. All right, have a fantastic rest of the day. It's 11 o'clock, which means you've got a good 6 hours to go and close some nice deals. Finish the week on a high. Thanks, Ian, for saying hey presto. I've never said that before in my life. Finish the week on a high. Have a great one, and look forward to catching up very soon. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Cheers. Bye. And that's a wrap for this episode of the TRN podcast. Thank you for listening. And make sure you grab the free episode toolkit. All the links are in the description. And click follow in your podcast app so you can get notified of our next episode. If you want to get more out of your business and your people, then please unlock 30 days from our platform, TRN World, for free. And help yourself to all our training content, our guides, our templates, and peer insights. You can get started at trnworld.com/trial. And finally, if you found this episode of the TRN podcast of use, please share it with your network and tag TRN on any socials with your takeaways. Otherwise, message us directly if we can help in any way. We do reply to every question. Otherwise, we'll see you next week on the next TRN podcast.